So when a company gets sold, everybody's focused on the big stuff, right? The financials, the contracts, the buildings. But what about the keys to the digital kingdom? Today, we are diving into a super critical and honestly, a dangerously overlooked part of any M&A deal: how to actually take control of a company's online assets.
And this quote right here, it just nails it. We're not talking about some simple IT checklist that you can just tick off. No way. These online assets, your website, your social media, your customer list, they're just as vital to the business's value as the cash sitting in the bank. They're literally the engine that drives the whole thing.
I mean, just imagine this for a second. The deal is done, everyone's celebrating, the press release goes out, and bam, the website goes dark. Emails to customer support start bouncing back. You try to log into the company's social media pages, and nobody knows the password. This isn't just a bad dream. This is the chaos that happens, for real, when this stuff isn't planned out.
So, to make sure that nightmare scenario doesn't happen to you, we've got a roadmap. We're going to start with what we're calling the digital handshake. Then we'll get into building your master inventory, securing that core foundation, getting control of all your customer-facing assets, integrating business ops, and finally, making the whole thing legally rock solid.
All right, let's jump right in. The very first step, and maybe the most important, is building your master inventory. Seriously, this is the absolute foundation for a smooth transition. Think of it like the blueprint for the entire digital handover.
So what is this thing really? It's a formal, written document, not just some scattered notes or an email chain. It needs to list out every single online asset, from the domain name to the software you use for email marketing. It has to answer those critical questions. Who legally owns this? Where is it? How do we pay for it? And what other systems will break if this goes down? This document becomes your Bible for the whole transition.
And here's a little peek at what that looks like in the real world. You can see the kind of detail we're talking about. So the primary domain, okay, that's owned by the selling company. Great, check. But then you look at website hosting. Uh-oh, it's being billed to an agency's credit card. That is a massive red flag. This is exactly the kind of ticking time bomb an inventory like this is designed to find before it blows up post-deal.
Okay, so once you have that inventory built, we need to focus on securing the absolute core foundation. This is the technical bedrock of your entire online business. We're talking domains, hosting, and email. If any one of these goes down, the company basically vanishes off the face of the internet. And make no mistake, the risk here cuts both ways. For the seller, if this is a mess, you could be looking at a lower price for your company, or even worse, getting dragged into nasty legal fights after the fact. But for the buyer, man, the pain is immediate and it is severe. We're talking website downtime on day one, lost customer emails, and security holes that can just destroy a reputation.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It sounds so simple, but you would be absolutely floored by how often a company's most valuable piece of digital property, its domain name, is technically registered to some former employee who left years ago or an ad agency they don't even work with anymore. Discovering that after the papers are signed is a total nightmare.
Look, the playbook for a clean domain transfer is pretty straightforward, but you have to be meticulous. First, you've got to confirm that the legal owner is the company itself, not a person. Then, get all the domains into one central corporate account. You have to document all those nerdy-sounding DNS records. They're what make your website and email actually work. And then you have to plan the timing of the transfer perfectly to avoid any weird lockout periods, and be ready to change all the contact and security info the second the deal closes.
Next up is hosting, the actual place on the internet where your website lives. Same rule applies. The account must be owned by the company. A huge trap here is being a sub-account under your web agency's master plan. It feels like you have control, but you really don't. The buyer needs direct top-level ownership of everything: the servers, the security certificates, even the code repositories.
And then there's email, the central nervous system of any modern business. You have to make a really big decision early on here. Does the buyer take over the seller's entire email system, like their whole Google Workspace or Microsoft 365 setup? Or do they just pull the domain name over to their own system? Both paths have huge technical and privacy issues, so you need a crystal clear plan to keep orders from getting lost and workflows from breaking.
All right, so with that technical foundation locked down, let's move to the fun stuff, the front lines. These are the assets that your customers actually see and touch every day. We're talking social media, online business listings, and the company's hard-earned reputation.
And yep, here we are again with that same scary ownership question. It is so incredibly common for a company's Facebook page or LinkedIn profile to have been started by some marketing intern using their personal login. If that person leaves, they can accidentally, or not so accidentally, take the keys to your entire audience with them.
The solution here is to just get systematic. First, you got to identify every single platform the company is on. Then, and this is the big one, you have to make sure every page is owned by a corporate business manager account, not a person's profile. That's the tool that platforms like Meta provide to separate the company asset from the individual. It makes the handover clean, secure, and professional.
Now let's talk about the stuff everybody forgets. Those online directories. Google Business Profile, Yelp, you name it. These things are shockingly important for local search traffic and just basic brand trust. The game plan is to claim and centralize all of them, make sure the name, address, and phone number are perfectly identical everywhere. That's huge for SEO. And then officially transfer the primary owner rights.
Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. A modern company runs on this whole complex ecosystem of software tools. The website and social media, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You need a plan for all the tools that handle the real day-to-day grind.
And this is where you really see how deep the rabbit hole goes. You've got your CRM system, your analytics platforms like Google Analytics, your payment processors like Stripe or PayPal. Every single one of these holds critical business data and has its own unique transfer process. You even have to dig into things like the licenses for stock photos. Losing access to any one of these can cause a massive operational headache.
So, you've done all the hard work. You built the inventory. You have a plan for every asset. Now for the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. How do you make sure all of this actually sticks? You have to take this out of the realm of an IT checklist and make it a core part of the legal M&A deal itself.
Here's how you make it legally legit. First, you explicitly list the most important digital assets. We're talking domain names, social media handles, right in the purchase agreement. Second, you include reps and warranties, which is legal speak for the seller guaranteeing they actually have the right to transfer everything. Third, you can create a transition services agreement that spells out exactly how the seller will help out for a little while after the deal. And finally, you have a security playbook ready to go for changing all the locks on day one.
You know, when you boil it all down, it really comes to this. We have to stop thinking of these things as IT issues. They're not. Your domain name, your customer data, your social media following, these aren't just technical details on a spreadsheet. They are core, fundamental parts of the company's value, and they have to be treated with that level of seriousness. So I'll leave you with this one last, pretty important question. If your company's big deal was closing next month, could you, right now, say with 100% confidence that you know exactly where every single one of your digital keys is?